I'll do you guys one better. I'd love to help. I have two signed world title belts, one from The Rock, one from The Undertaker. What if we got some of our athlete friends and clients online and they can like meet their fans or teach a class? So I said, "Oh, that's a good idea. What if we raise some money for charities?"
Mm.
"Oh, that's a good idea. What if we did this with celebrities as well?" "Oh, that's a good idea. Let's make some calls."
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Beyond the Bar podcast. I'm your host, Denise Satova, and today we're diving into the world of entertainment and hospitality with a true industry insider, Jeff Krauss, who is a co-founder of IE Group and Fan Room Live. And Jeff has well over 16 years of experience. He's been making waves in the business. He's been creating unforgettable experiences for high caliber guests, VIP experiences for corporate guests, charities, celebrity clients. But today we will go outside of his title and fame and we'll explore his journey, his passions, and really his story. And I cannot wait to dive in. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. How are you?
Good, good. You know, you have been in the entertainment industry for a long time, although you look great, but I know you have. So I want to know your story. I mean, how did you get into this field?
Oh, well, basically, when I was in college, started parties in nightclubs, which is a whole long story, which is a whole for another day. But I started throwing parties in nightclubs, and from doing that, I really wanted to get more into the event side of it, like throwing, bigger and better parties. So I started to uh, book a lot of different, great events, whether it be a modeling agency or a fashion designer. And then simultaneously, I was also throwing my own parties and nightclubs and constantly networking. So from there, I was building my Rolodex, building my reputation, building everything that I had just from throwing parties, networking, and then throwing, parties for, whether, as I said, whether it be anything in fashion or entertainment. And then from there, I started to get hired by nightclubs to consult or run marketing and promotions. I still kept the event side going, kept moving it forward. Then I started to do celebrity stuff, working with different, celebrities for their dinner parties and charity events. So I know that's a little bit more general, but that's basically the short end of the story, so to speak.
Yeah, I am known to unpack stuff, so I am also fascinated by the entrepreneurial side. So on sort of the micro level, so you were promoting nightclubs, and I get that, right? If you go back to like the first major celebrity client, how did you was it basically you ran a promotion, you met that celebrity in a nightclub, and then you, let's say, put on an event, for their kid's birthday party? I mean, how do you get to, because there's a lot of
Oh,
competition, right? How did you stand out? How did you break through that competition?
well, let's differentiate two things. The first celebrity I ever threw a party for that now there are celebrities that necessarily I promoted something for indirectly, which is a whole nother thing. But the first person that I actually threw a party for was Rosario Dawson.
Mm,
And basically, I met her mother at another lounge that we were both kind of working with. And when I opened up a lounge that I was a partner in, it just so happened that Rosario was in a play and they wanted to do an after party for the play. So her mother entrusted me with the party and we did it and it was amazing. And we've had a great relationship ever since. That was in the early 2000s. But that again, that was all networking. It just so happened that I was friends with her mother and they were looking for an after party to throw. And I just said, "Hey, what about my new spot?" And it worked out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how it happened, literally.
Yeah, so it's nurturing that relationship and then creating like this amazing value, for her daughter. And then, I mean, it's a closely knit community, right? In a way. So then the word gets around and it just goes from there.
Yeah, it's just a lot of networking, a lot of relationship building. Uh, you know, that's really what it is. It's just networking, building relationships, and having a platform that makes sense for that particular client, particular talent, or particular company. That's really what it boils down to is uh, aside from the networking part, you still have to be able to do the job and or be able to deliver for the client. So I was able to do both, if that kind of makes any sense.
That makes a lot of sense. It's not easy. For many people, networking, connecting, there's something that it just feels challenging, to put yourself out there. It's unnecessary. That is for certain. So let's go back to how did you, what were you into when you were a little kid? Let's say you were in middle school. What were you into then?
Oh, I was a tennis player when I was in middle school. I was pretty shy. I was just all I was into was tennis and wrestling, basically. That's what I was into. The idea of throwing parties was not on my mind at all. In fact, the opposite. I was
So
actually pretty shy. I mean, I'm still an introvert, don't get me wrong, but I was actually even more shy when I was in middle school, so to speak.
that's actually I'm gonna dig into that because so am I. Um, and that is an interesting world. And it's a great one if you understand it. So, okay, so you were the shy kid, you were into sports. So then you get to high school, and then when did you get that appetite for parties? I know it sounds like a strange question asking, someone who was in high school, but did it come from like, hey, maybe I felt a little invisible, or you discovered something about you that was like, if I put on these events, like it feels great. I have sort of this authority. Like, where did that come from?
Well, the interesting thing is that the idea of me throwing parties never crossed my mind. I never even wanted to do it. Um, I had zero interest in it, but it just so happened that one night I was online at a nightclub with my friends, and I'm the introvert. My friend is an extrovert, and he just says to me, we're literally standing on the line, and this promoter walks up with all these girls, and we knew the promoter from back home, from our hometown. And he just says to me, "Jeff, we got to do that." And I'm like, "Do what?" He goes, "We got to throw parties. That's what we got to do. We got to be promoters and we'll make all this money." And I'm like, "No, I'm not interested in that." So he kept pestering me week after week after week. We would hang out. "Come on, Jeff, let's do it. Let's do it."
Yeah.
So finally, I just said, "Listen, I'll give it one shot. I'll call my sister, see if she knows any promoters or anybody in that world. It's really not what I want to do, but we'll give it one shot. Okay. So now, mind you, I'm in college, and both of our networks are really either from college or from like tennis camp, right? So so we're calling our whole phone book, and my friend is calling people from tennis camp from 10 years ago that he hadn't even spoken to.
It's funny.
So I'm calling everybody in my college and my high school friends or friends that weren't necessarily in my high school, but that were just, friends of mine in different towns. And we had a lot of people show up. A lot didn't get in because the venue that we were doing it at happened to be like one of the most popular venues at the time. But when I got to the door, for the first time this happens, bouncer says to me, let me see your ID. I showed them my ID, which was not me, which was not me. It was a fake ID because I was underage. And the bouncer says, "Oh, this isn't you. You can't come in." So now my
Oh,
friend slash business partner at the time, uh, he goes in and starts screaming and raising hell. My partner and I busted our butts to fill this venue, and meanwhile, there's crowds and crowds outside, of people, trying to get in.
oh my God.
So he managed to get the director of the venue or whatever to allow me in, but I couldn't drink. Now, the success of the party as far as people showing up was great. I couldn't drink, which was fine. Wasn't that big of a deal. But everybody that showed up that did get in, because again, a lot of people did not get in. We had no control, so there was nothing there. But people that did get in, they had a good time. So even though the experience wasn't necessarily the best on the business side, I saw something as far as people enjoying themselves.
Mm.
And knowing that I was responsible for doing so, that made me say, all right, let's give it a second shot. And I just wasn't going to give it a second shot at that venue because we had no control.
Yeah.
So I found somebody, I found some email or something, I don't remember exactly, but I ended up connecting with a promoter named Donnie and Tina, who were throwing these parties at another club, which was still a good club, but just not as popular. But they gave us a lot of leeway. They gave us a lot of respect, which we didn't get at the popular clubs, so to speak.
Hmm.
And it was great. It was a great learning experience. They taught me the ropes, and I had all the control I needed to do what I needed to do, and it turned out great. And then we ended up partnering on some parties moving forward, which was great too.
So how long did it take you to turn it
So yeah,
into? That's incredible story though. So it was because of your friend who was persistent, and then despite the challenges, you didn't give up. So how soon after you threw the second party, you promoted the second one, did you turn it into a business where, and then, when it started to become profitable?
well, I mean, listen, that those are two different things. Now, the passion started from the second party, or the first party and the second party. The passion started. The actual grit of me wanting to do this started, so to speak. The groundwork of me building my Rolodex and all that kind of stuff, that took a lot of time. Not to mention also, uh, 9/11 happened, so that detoured a lot of things for many months at the time. And then after 9/11, it still took many months after everything settled down to start doing the parties again. So
Mhm.
then I had to kind of restart that, so to speak. And even then, it took years, I mean, of uh for it to be profitable, so to speak, or somewhat profitable, because I still had a lot of, a lot of building to do. It did not happen overnight at all.
You
You could
can,
have a great party. It
yeah,
doesn't mean that it's going to be profitable, so to speak, in the
right,
sense that, yeah, you might have made money for the night, but in terms of building a business and having a sight of what you want it to be, those are two completely different things. You can have a great night every week. That doesn't mean that you're going to have a profitable business, so to speak,
right.
for what you want. Hope that
That
makes
makes
sense.
Oh, totally. Those are two different things. I mean, turning it into profitable business, I mean, you need a team, and you have to have, obviously clients, and then, I mean, there's just so much, and then and a system, to constantly, like what you're doing. It's networking, it's building the business. One event finishes, planning for the next one. I mean, that's not easy. So it's the
Well, you
reason
need
why
a
I'm in,
vision as well.
yes, yes,
You
yes,
need a vision and you need systems. It's not like,
yeah,
you know, the throwing of the party is one aspect,
right,
but you need a vision, you need systems, you need hard work, and you need to think outside the box. And you need
yes,
to reinvest in yourself. So
yeah,
whatever you have now, you need to reinvest into yourself so that down the line, you're going to get even more out of it. And you might even be able to do things that you never thought imaginable. That's where uh the real gold is. It's not in what's today, it's in what can I do today that's going to help me in years to come.
right,
At least that's the way I look at it.
yeah. Look, I mean, there are people, they pull money out of the business to flex, to show off what they have. And then at the end of the day, they have nothing. And then you have people, entrepreneurs who reinvested back into the business, into themselves. And it's a labor of love and a passion. And like you said, they have a vision, they hang on to it. But with like everything's changing, the technology's changing, the way we connect changes. So you're known for pioneering virtual concepts. Can you tell me more about that, and how have you seen virtual events evolving?
Oh, virtual events have been evolving, especially since the pandemic.
Mhm.
Um, Basically, during the pandemic, literally right in the heart of it, we were all sitting in our homes. We had nothing to do, just bored out of our minds. But people were going online every day because they had nothing else to do. So my business partner, Mitch, which let's just backtrack for a second. My business partner, Mitch, and I had already been partners before the pandemic, and we had been working with each other as far as booking celebrities for paid appearances, whether it be Comic Cons or conventions or speaking engagements or music performances or athlete autograph signings, whatever it is, and also working with restaurants, bringing celebrities to the restaurants, into different parties, throwing their parties. So we had already been doing all this kind of stuff, and anything that was a live event was already shut down.
Mm,
So my partner Mitch calls me up and he says, listen, I have an idea. What if we got some of our athlete friends and clients online and they can like meet their fans or teach a class or, something to that nature. So I said, "Oh, that's a good idea. What if we raise some money for charities?"
mm,
"Oh, that's a good idea. What if we did this with celebrities as well?" oh, that's a good idea. Let's make some calls. So we called our good friend, Cedric the Entertainer. And we brought the idea to Cedric. And he said, well, this is a great idea, but I think that it would be even better idea if we made a brand out of it.
Mm,
And because this could go on way past the pandemic, and there could be way bigger opportunity in what we're talking about than just some one-off events. Okay, great idea too. Let's strategize. So we took months of strategizing names and concepts and how this would format and all these different things and who we could reach out to. And we did it. We created the brand Fan Room Live, and it was born. And it's been, for us, it's a blessing because not only do we get to connect celebrities and their fans, and some of the events we do get to raise money for charity, but what ends up happening is that once the celebrity does it,
mhm.
they end up and the fans end up with this deeper appreciation for each other afterwards. It's like an up close and personal experience.
Yeah.
And it's way better than in person because if you go to like a Comic-Con, right, or a
Yeah.
convention,
Yeah.
you stand online, you go, you pay, you get your autograph, you might have a minute or less to talk to the celebrity, and then there's a bouncer that's moving you off the line. With this, there's no bouncer. They just get to talk heart to
Mm.
heart, and it's it turned out that there have been some very beautiful things that have come of it. So yeah,
Wow.
it's a really beautiful thing that we love our projects for.
And that's all virtual.
All virtual.
I love it. I love it. I mean, that's how I started this podcast and to sort of bring out the humanness, if you will, and somebody like Cedric who's contributed to it and Ice-T and it also you know it'd be logistically impossible even like you know with Eric earlier and his wife to just to fly across you know, the US and meet them, and other people. So it really allows you to connect, and it's almost like, you know, you take Zoom, and it's like on steroids. You would transport basically yourself into this virtual world, and it's right at your fingertips. So that was great. And with AI now, I mean, it's you can automate so many things that took weeks, months it can be done for you. So it's like a whole new world and seems you are staying ahead of it.
Well, listen, one of my favorite stories and moments on Fan Room uh, came actually with Paul White, who formerly was known as the Big Show in WWE.
Yeah.
So we did a Fan Room Live with Paul, and we had connected with this charity where they bring sick kids with cancer or other terminal illnesses to wrestling shows.
Wow.
Well, what happened was because nobody could fly at the time to go anywhere, you couldn't go to a wrestling show. We were able to help the charity bring some kids onto Fan Live so they can meet, uh, Paul White, the Big Show.
Wow.
Well, there was one kid where his favorite wrestler, or one of them, was Paul. Paul took 15 minutes of his time, about, and hung out with the kid. The kid was so excited. And mind you, he's from the UK. So the kid is in the UK. He's hanging out with the Big Show, all right.
Yeah.
And afterwards, Paul says, "Listen, I'm gonna take my shirt off, sign it, and give it to the charity." so you guys could auction it. So we took a little video clip of that and we posted it on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. And a friend of mine, Rob Wiles, who's a wrestling podcaster, reached out to me and said, "Hey Jeff, I saw what you guys did for that kid and the charity. I'll do you guys one better. I'd love to help. I have 2 signed world title belts, one from The Rock, one from The Undertaker. The belts they actually wore that were signed." I said, "That's amazing." He said, "I want to send one to the kid in the UK
Mm.
and one to the charity." So we sent The Rock's world title belt to the UK for the kid. It turned out that the kid's birthday was a few weeks later. So the parents held on to the title and gave it to the kid on his birthday.
Oh,
Like, the kid was over the moon. It was one of the most amazing things that we could have ever done. And then the Undertaker's world title got auctioned off, which they auctioned it off for a lot of money to the charity.
wow.
So yeah, that's one of my best stories and proudest moments ever to be able to be a part of that.
I bet it is. Feels great. I have goosebumps right now. It's like a life altering,
Yeah.
experience. Yeah. That is amazing, Jeff. Wow. Well, no, going back to you being an introvert, how do you navigate, the social demands of your work? How do you recharge?
Thing is with that, I go at my own pace.
Mm,
So I go at my own pace. I don't. I know this is going to sound a little bit odd because of the line of work that I'm in, but I don't I don't overextend myself socially or in any way that is going to burn me out. So, for example, I will do a party, I will network, I will be there, and I will be present. But once I get home, I'm relaxed. I'm just Jeff. I just tune everything out. Unless there's an emergency, somebody needs to reach me or whatever, I tune everything out and I just decompress. So now, of course, if I'm in the mood or somebody's in town and we want to go out for a drink or something like that, yeah, that happens. But uh, if I'm not up for it, I'm not up for it.
mm,
So I go with my how I'm feeling inside, and I just keep it moving that way. Really, to me, it's about the work and the grind, not
yeah.
about partying and the flash, so to speak. If that makes any sense.
It does. It does. You stay in tune with who you are. Um,
Yeah.
and that doesn't mean that you have to be, it's reserved for your clients. You can be effective and you found a way to be effective. And for you to do that, you need to recharge your batteries. And I get it because I'm exactly the same way. I'm in an extroverted world. I can function, but I also know how to take care of myself. So what is your go-to when Jeff comes home after an event like that? I mean, what do you do? Do you do binge on shows? Do you just, I don't know. What do you do?
Oh yeah. I I relax on the couch, pop in some Netflix or Hulu or whatever, and yeah, might catch up on some Cobra Kai or Vanderpump Rules or whatever's whatever's on that can take my mind off things, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Wow. So
Or any shows that are on Netflix that are or anything that's good, basically,
yeah,
that I
that's
like.
bingeable. That's something that's bingeable, probably like a mental floss, right?
Yeah. I mean, listen, The funny thing is everybody's watching Suits now. I was a huge Suits fan way like all the way back to season one when it really actually came out. So
Yeah.
now when I watch it back, it's like I hadn't seen it in many years. So now I watch it and I'm like, you have a deeper appreciation for it because I'm like, oh wow, yeah, it's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I'm probably on it for like a fourth time, and I still realize that I've missed, a lot of things in it. And there's some other shows that I rewatch, and it's like, I am looking at it differently. Or like shows that I used to like, even movies. I'm like, that's just not like that's not moving me. Tell me about your team.
Have you ever seen Power?
No, no, no. That's funny. I'm glad we're on the shows. No, but I heard great things about it.
Oh, it's amazing.
Is that
Like the original Power series,
uh-uh.
it's amazing.
Okay. I need to
Like
do that.
amazing.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I'm
there's another show on Stars called Hightown. It's also really good, by the way.
oh, you know what? Is that older?
It's been around the last number of years, but I think they
Yeah.
just had their last season.
Is that about a female cop?
Well, yeah, she's like a
Yeah.
Coast Guard kind of cop or something, and she
Yeah.
then works with the police department, and yeah, but
Okay. Yeah.
it's
I
great.
yeah, that's okay. So if there's a that's kind of my cup of tea too, like murder mysteries too. I mean, I've binged on The Housewives, but I found over time it's like, it's like it's just not holding my interest as much. So, yeah, that's funny. Yeah, no. So, like your team, tell me about your team that you work with.
As I mentioned, Mitch Faulkner, he's my business partner. Jay Benjamin, who's brilliant actor, producer, comic, one of the funniest guys around. He's actually the host of Fan Room Live and our co-executive producer. Stacey Toy, who's co-host and co-executive producer of Fan Room Live. We're all always working on the back end, looking at new opportunities and all different things, not just for Fan Room, but also for live events.
Hmm.
But yeah, the I would say the four of us are the key. And there's other people that are in our uh, circle, so to speak. But yeah, I would say those are the main ones. And of course, our uh, our family, Cedric, who we love.
Oh, he's a fun guy for sure. Very enterprising. I was actually very impressed. He's involved in so many things. For sure. So what's next for you?
I'm just learning every day and building, building. That's what's next. We're just the thing is like I look at it almost like a garden, right? You have lots of seeds and you water it every day and it grows just a little bit,
Hmm.
just a little bit, just a little bit. And then after a long time, you're like, oh wow, I have this garden of all these different types of plants. And some are better for me than others, and some, and then you focus on ones that actually make sense and you keep moving that forward. And it's just the progression of doing the things that work and building more and more every single day. That's just the way that I look at it. I'm not looking at what's happening today. I'm looking at what is happening today, what can happen a year from now, how can this build to something in 3 years, 5 years down the line.
Hmm.
As an example, if you would have asked me 10 years ago, Would I
Yeah.
be booking all these high profile celebrities for convention autograph signings and then also doing their private birthday parties and all this stuff? I would be like, I'm just happy if I can get them into a nightclub. 10 years later,
Yeah.
that's not really as much of an importance as the, you know, the stuff that I can actually do with them that actually is more meaningful.
Mm.
If that makes
Sounds
any sense to you.
yeah, it really sounds like you are after it's the quality, the value. Um, it's not sort of this fly by night thing because there are so many I mean you're not just organizing events, you're essentially creating a lifetime experience. And I hear it. And how you're describing the process, it took years to get there. It's not like, oh, I nailed this celebrity and it's all over. No, there was a progression. And so it's really impressive. It's impressive. It's
Thank
definitely
you.
doable. Yeah, yeah. No, I am thrilled. I watched you on a social media and I thought, there's something that lends different. And then obviously hearing, during one of your podcasts, you mentioned I watched a few minutes and you mentioned that you were an introvert, and I thought, well, that's kind of interesting being in this industry, but, it's very it's doable. I am essentially, existing in it myself, so, Jeff, it's been really fantastic having you on the show. We'll have to bring you back, and thank you so much for sharing your incredible story.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. This was great. I really appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. And to our viewers and listeners, to find out more about Jeff Krauss and iGroup, check out all the links below. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel, Beyond the Bar Podcast. And of course, follow us on all social media platforms with the links below. Until next time, stay inspired and stay curious.